Hello, folks. Hello, can we get started? If you'd like to take a seat. Okay. Come close, you'll hear. So we've got about 70 homes on the map there, or 70 properties, I should say. And I know we probably don't have half of you here, but there's plenty of time to disseminate the information. So tell your neighbors how to get information later. We'll let you know all that. This is just an information meeting. You don't have to make any decisions immediately. You've got at least a month before you have to make any decision, and probably a bit longer than that. So plenty of time for you to think about what we tell you tonight, and ask more questions. We're happy to meet with small groups of people. If there's a bunch of neighbors get together and they have questions, or just phone Nora there, and Nora will, she's handing out her card, and she'll set up a meeting in the office. So you can either talk to myself or the treasurer, depending on who's got the information you need. So what this meeting is about is where the existing sewers in the central local area service are. And a local area service is the means by which the municipality provides sewers to a group of people. Okay, all the sewers in the municipality were set up using the local area service laws, which are enacted by the province, and you have to be a member of a local area service in order to get sewer service. And we will cover who's currently paying for the sewers. Sorry about that. And we'll cover where the new sewers are going to be built, what the options are for property owners to connect to the new sewer, what it's going to cost to connect to the sewers, how the petition process works for property owners, what actions you can take later at the end of the month, and then we'll have time for questions. I'd like to go through it all and then let you ask questions. It's not terribly wrong. So first question was, where are existing sewers in the central local area service and who's paying for them? So the red sewers up there are sewers that are already built. You can just see some green there. That sewer that's going to be built that has no connection to you folks. And then the blue is other sewers that were already built, but they were built at a different time. It was built in two phases, the red and then the blue, and there's a little bit of more to add. And the shaded area is all the properties that are currently in the local area service. Now, if you're not sure where you are looking at that, at the top right is Machosen Road. Okay, right diagonally going across the top right, and then that's Souk Road coming down from the top. So that's Allendale Pit, the main part of the shading. So where will the new sewers be constructed? You can see the green line that goes up in the top right there. That's thank you. That's the new sewer that will be constructed that concerns you. Okay. Now the people in that shaded area, the property owners in that shaded area, begin next year paying sewer taxes for all of the sewers that are shown there within their area. And And then this green area is the new part. And we're going through a process of deciding how they're going to be paid for. So when a new sewer is built, it's part of the way the Act is constructed, that all of the properties that front onto or back onto basically have immediate access to that pipe should be should have a chance to join the local area service, for which that pipe will be a part. And the blue properties are all of the properties that got a letter, except I think we missed one on there, but we'll correct that later. The pink properties are properties that are already in a local area service that's not part of Central, not part of your group. And then, of course, the gray properties are the properties that are currently in Central. Is anybody struggling with the idea of what a local area service is? Because we do sometimes, yes. You have no idea what a local area service means. It's a designation in the Local Government Act, and it just means an area that was formed to pay through their taxes for a particular service, hence local area service. So all the people in gray on the previous maps, as part of it, all the people in gray, all the properties in gray on these maps are part of the local area service that will be paying for the sewers that are traversing that area. Okay, and you can have a local area service for sidewalks or street lights or whatever. They most often appear for sewers. Yeah. Well, that area will be joining Central, depending on the outcome of the petition process. Yeah.
Can I just ask that we...
Oh, good point. Yeah.
My question is, if, say the people in this blue area say there's a vote, is that correct? Whether they're in or out?
Yeah, it's not exactly a vote.
Okay,
But yeah.
if, say they vote no,
Yeah.
will that green line continue to go in anyhow? The sewer to Ellendale Pit?
Yes.
So basically what I'm seeing here is that green line, which is the new sewer connection, is specifically designed to service the pit. And if you happen to be along the corridor, then you can hook into it. But regardless of whether you hook into it or not, or say they vote no, that green line is still going to the pit. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So to my way of thinking, that is specifically designed for the pit. The people that are developing the pit, they now get access to the sewers. And if you happen to be in that LAS area, you're still going to pay a certain fee for those sewers, even if you don't hook in.
Okay, but if you think about it, those properties in the pit that front on that pipe, they could be fed internally through the pit.
Say that again, please.
Well, see, there's a red line going through the middle of the pit there.
Oh, yes, yep.
There's no reason why all those properties couldn't feed into that line.
Oh, I see, okay.
Okay, so it's not specifically designed to service only the pit. It will serve all the properties that front onto it.
Yeah, I realize that, but it just seems strange that the new connection goes, it doesn't take into account, like for instance, my place on Trout Lane, it doesn't take into account that, or the Ridley house that's behind me, and yet they just sort of blow right by it, right to where there's going to be all this new development. That's just the read I get on it.
Well, if you think about Trout Lane, then you can also think about Eiderwood, and you can think about Cedar Crest.
And I agree.
And,
I agree with you.
You know, you could go on forever.
Yeah, I know.
And that's not the intent here, is to service vast areas of the city, because you have to think about how much money is available to actually build the line.
Mm-hmm. So how did they come to the conclusion? Yeah, how did they determine that that green line was going to go from there and stop there? Is it because of the other sewer connections, where they're red?
When you say
Existing ones?
how did they determine?
What
Yeah.
was the determining factor for where that green line is, where the sewer is going to go?
Well, it goes to meet up with existing sewers, the
Yeah.
red
Okay.
line up there.
That was my question. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which,
okay.
you know,
That's all I
you've
wanna
got to
know.
go somewhere where there's a sewer connection. And that is one of the possibilities. Well, hang on. We've got to give you a mic here. Yeah, because just to explain that, who didn't make it here will be sent a video of this meeting. So they'll get to hear your questions and your answers, and they'll be educated by that. Go ahead.
So there's 80 people in those blue dots, right?
I think there's about 70 properties.
Okay, say
Yeah.
70. So 36 people say no. That dies right on the spot?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
we'll cover that in a minute, but you're not far off the mark. Okay. So let's move on to what your options are. Okay. So now this is what your options will be once you've got the appropriate paperwork. That's not going to happen until the end of the month. This isn't an option you're being presented with right now. It's an option we're giving you a chance to think about. But so property owners adjacent to the new sewer line will be able to, if the petition goes ahead, and all the owners join the LAS, they will pay an annual sewer tax of about $500. That's the best calculation we can do at the moment. There'll be more accurate numbers at the end of April. And you may decide to connect to the sewers immediately, or you can decide to connect at some point in the future. If you're all in the local area service, the one constant is that everybody's paying about $500 per house. If you've got a big property, you pay more than that. But for a regular household, house lot, I think it's under 2,000 square meters, it's about $500. If the petition process is not successful, and property owners don't join the LAS, the owners will not be able to connect to the sewers without a further petition process, but you won't be charged for anything. Okay?
So for the folks that maybe decide not to connect immediately, but they'll connect at some later date, say
Yep.
2 years down the road,
Yep.
do you have an estimated idea of how much the dollar amount would change?
We'll get to all that in just a
Okay.
minute. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I just realized what you actually asked. You're talking about whether the 500 will change? Yeah. And I've done lots of local area services in Langford. They all operate under the same laws. And generally, there's two ways they can change. The interest rate will be locked in for 10 years. Right now, interest rates are fairly low. But the payment period on this one is 28 years. So after 10 years, it could rise. And and again after 20. The other way they change is more people join. And the more people that join, the taxes tend to go down.
You're going to pay no matter what, hook up or not, right?
Everybody who's in the area pays the tax. The tax is split between more people because the tax comes from the total amount of money it takes to build all of the sewers that service the area. And that's just divided by the number of what we call dwelling units or sewer units that are in the area. So each property is assigned a certain amount of sewer units, and it basically depends on the size of your property. Depends to some extent on the zoning as well. But
Where's all this sewer going once it's pumped into these main lines? Like, aren't they having a hell of a time building some from Macaulay Point to Over Point?
right now, it goes all the way out to Macaulay Point and out into the ocean. Yep. And at some point, we presume it will go to a treatment plant somewhere.
Another rate to pay more taxes to pay for that, I guess.
At the moment, that sewer tax, though, for sewage treatment, because everybody's being charged something right now, That is actually spread over the entire community right now. Yeah.
If the petition doesn't go through, we're building the sewer pipe anyway,
Yeah.
are you still paying $500 a year?
If the petition fails, the sewer gets built anyway, yes. Nobody joins the area from the blue group, and you don't pay anything. But you can't connect to the pipe without going through a further petition process.
You can't connect,
Yeah,
right, but you don't pay the $500.
no. So where did we get to? Yeah. So I think we've covered that slide. No, we haven't. We just moved on to that slide. Right. Okay, so there's the money about connecting. So typically right now, a person who has a single-family lot that fronts onto a sewer and they want to connect to it, they pay a $3,000 charge if they're not already in an LAS, which is or I should be more accurate, if they're not already an exempt property. And we have a map that covers all the exempt properties, and that's the properties that were within an LAS at a certain time when the sewer problems were sorted out and a new agreement was created. That's about a $3,100 charge, and then there's a $6,000 charge for the city's work to physically put in the connection from the pipe to the property line. Then you've got costs on your own property, go from your property line to the sewers where they exit your house. Often that's at the rear of your house in houses with a septic field, so that can be a bit of a trek around the house. And often they cost, all of that costs $3,000 to $5,000, particularly in this case where you got reasonably good ground. But it can be a lot more if you've got a long driveway or if you've got to dig through your driveway. We will put the connection wherever you want it on the frontage. You know, we had a case of a property that was mostly rock on the frontage, and it actually got expensive to go around the rock to get to a part of his property line where he wanted the connection. Yes?
I really don't know much when you're talking about stuff like a frontage. Do you
Okay.
mean like the edge of the property, like where I walk out to the end of my driveway? That's what you're talking about is
Yeah, not exactly the end of your driveway. There's the edge of the road, and then about 15 feet further back usually, that's where your property line is. So it's usually where your water meter is, although I did talk to one gentleman whose water meter is not on the property line.
so the line that you're willing to build
Yeah.
for us at $9,100 goes from the sewer pipe to about where my water meter is.
Yeah. Only it can be anywhere on that property line. It doesn't have to be right beside the water meter. About that distance, yeah.
And then the rest of it is what
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how long that distance is. If the sewer is not on your side of the road, obviously it's a longer distance. If the sewer is on your side of the road, it's a short distance. But whatever the distance, it's a standard charge, you know, so that we're not benefiting the people we put it near and causing the others a bigger cost. You were asking a permit to get the sewer line in? Well, if you apply to hook up to the sewers, then you are going to apply for a building permit to put in the sewer on your property, and you will get the permit. Yeah. Yes.
How does it cost so much for that 15 feet for the city, and yet say there's 50 feet from my water meter to the back of my house be substantially less, so it looks?
It's
Why
because
so much more. You're paying for the city, right? That from
Yep.
the sewer line to
Yep.
the edge of my property.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's about what it costs us. I think we're actually losing a bit of money right now.
that-
And it's partly because, you know, you're digging under road. And for some of them, you're crossing the entire road, and particularly if you're crossing Souk Road, that's a fairly big undertaking. Okay, if you're crossing a minor street, that's a lot less work. There's a lot less people turn out to do that work because you're not trying to, you know, cross 4 lanes of traffic or 5 in some cases, and you're not trying to deal with all that traffic, redirect it. I don't, from, it gets pretty shallow, yep. Yeah. We'll be able to let you know. Could you hand him the microphone, please? We will be able to let you know how many and exactly which properties will be pumping before the end of April, because you know, the design is currently underway, and they will know that information from that design. And right now they're estimating a relatively small number. Out of 70 homes, it's less than 10. But there's still things to confirm there, so don't quote me on 10. And that's, I mean, obviously it's deepest when it turns and goes up Machosen Road, because Machosen Road is much higher. No, it's we're struggling to be far enough underground at the end of this green line, so back there to where it comes off Souk Road, it's going to be fairly deep. But just to finish up this slide, now if we know that everybody's wants to join and wants to connect on, there may be a way of getting cheaper connections than that 6,000 I talked about. But we're still working on that. The 6,000 is part of the 9,100. Yeah, which is for the physical connection. But we'll give you great detail on that before you ever have to make a decision. Okay, we're still working on that one to see what kind of advantage we can give you. So the actual petition process is a legal process laid out in the Local Government Act, and it'll start when you receive a letter with all the legally required information. There'll be a cover letter with extra information for you. But the accompanying letter will be very legal, and we wanted to have this talk with you before you see that, because nobody ever understands what this letter means. But it's got to be a certain way because of the law. I don't write it, our lawyers write it. And that's scheduled to be sent out April 25th. That date might change a little bit. We will also advertise the petition in the local newspaper at the same time. That's a requirement. And you'll have 30 days to respond to the petition. So what's going on with this petition is the city is petitioning you, saying we petition you to join this LAS. Now, if you want to join the LAS, then you don't have to do anything. You can stay home and ignore the whole process. If you don't want to join the LAS, you have to sign a petition, which is called a counter petition, which says no, okay? Now, if more than half of the people sign the counter petition, then you won't be joining the LAS. If less than half sign the counter petition, then you will all be joining. Okay, it's all or nothing, majority rules, and everybody will be informed of the result by letter after it's been confirmed officially, and your annual sewer taxes would be added in 2017. So what actions do you need to take just to reinforce that? If you do not want to be part of this, you sign the petition to say no. If you do want to be part of this, you don't need to do anything. Everyone's in or out. Majority decides. So it's a good idea to get involved with the neighbors on this one and discuss it and know where your neighbors are going. And make sure all of your neighbors actually know about it. Do we have the mic somewhere? Thanks.
So what if people don't respond? We got, you say about 70 homes.
Yeah.
There's not that many people, there's not 70 homes represented here, I
No.
don't think. What if people just kind of get it and put it in their recycle bin?
Well, that may have happened for a lot of people. I mean, we know we've had phone calls from, where's Nora? 7 or 9 homes? She's gone. 7 or 9 homes, I can't remember which, saying, I can't make it, send me a link to the video. So we know there's more homes than represented here. But yeah, people may have got it and thrown it in the garbage or shoved it in a pile and forgotten about it, which is why we, are still going to send out another letter.
But won't you have to make sure that you hear from every person in that list, that blue area?
We can't. There's no way we can make sure we hear from everybody.
Because I mean, it doesn't make it's not really fair if say 20 people respond.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
or you know what I mean.
I know, but you can talk to people, but you can't make them listen. So all of your letters were delivered by hand, okay, just to make sure that they all were delivered. We will do that again during April, and then again at the end of April. And there will be the ads in the newspaper, but I've actually been doing this for 40 years, and I've seen cases where we had advertising galore, and there were still people who said, I never heard of this. And we know that on their way to work every day, they drove past the sign, a big flashing sign that talked about it. So okay, I'll get. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just going to tell you that that was part of the agreement, and the agreement there was. Colwood originally had a lot of problems setting up the sewer system. Yes, yes, but that's why not everybody in Colwood got sewers. Okay, that referendum was held. The majority vote was no, and so everybody didn't get sewers. Can I explain? The local area services were created, and they made mistakes creating them. Okay. You may have heard the city was well, quite frankly, the city was in court over this more than once, and the problem had to be solved, right? Because it was costing you money on your tax dollars. It was costing everybody money, and the problem was solved, and it was solved in a good way. An awful lot of people who were we had people who were paying $3,000 a year sewer taxes. Today they're paying a couple of hundred. We had people who are paying nothing who are today paying a couple of hundred. It depends on what area you're in, what you pay. Some are cheaper to service than others. And in some cases, in the local area service, a lot of the sewers that are now servicing people were put in by developers. Your area is already developed. That won't happen. So as a part of this big multi-part agreement that had to be agreed to by the province, because the province were the only ones who could actually sign the bylaws that would correct the situation. So the province had to agree, and a lot of other people had to agree. They didn't necessarily all sign the agreement, but they had to agree because the province said you got to treat the people you've been dealing with fairly. Okay, and this is part of the agreement. It's a relatively small part of the agreement, And I'm not going to argue with you that it would be better for you if you could oppose it by staying at home instead of having to actually sign a petition. But on the other hand, it's not a huge imposition to sign the petition. And, you know, we actually have a lot of people ringing us up wanting sewers. And we don't have the money to take the sewers there. But in this case, the money's being provided through the central area local area service. Okay, so I apologize. You have to actually be active on this, but that's the way the agreement was signed, and believe me, that agreement took 5 years of work. It was the hardest thing I ever did in my life, was to help create that. So you can blame me for that. My fault. So the question is, what's the advantage to hooking up to the sewers? A lot of people see different advantages. Some people say, I want to be in the LAS because it's a good insurance policy. I know I can hook up anytime, and my field may fail. You know, different people feel differently about that, and it depends to some extent on the ground, the age of the field, how much trouble they might have had with it already, etc. Not everybody has a field. Some have treatment plants, and they can be troublesome. So there are different reasons why people want it. Some people feel it will increase the value of their home. I can't tell you it will or won't. I can only tell you that I once bought a house up in around in the Duncan area, and I didn't buy any of the ones that weren't on a field, but that's just me. That weren't on a sewer, rather, but that's just me. So different people have different reasons why they want to be in the area or be in the area and be connected. And you've each got to think about your individual feelings on that. We're trying to work out some financial advantage for you to make it, you know, a more logical thing, you know, a thing that will actually help you to join. But we haven't got the details of that yet. We don't know if we can actually do it. So we'll let you know that during the month of April. If you own a property anywhere in Colwood and you connect to the sewers and you can subdivide and put in 3 homes, then yeah, so that was actually quite a big property, and we'll just call that up there. So Wood Park is that pink area just off the end of the blue. Okay, that was a fairly big property, and he wasn't part of the original LAS, so he's not in the exempt plan. So for every lot on there, he paid the $3,000. He put in his own connections because that's part of what you do in a subdivision, and he had to petition the whole property into the system, and then he sold the houses and the homeowners paid the taxes. Could have gone that way, but I think for all kinds of reasons, it's better for it to go the other way, because a long Suit Road is a place where you would expect to find more development eventually. The properties there are not very large, but in the long run, there's probably going to be more development along there, so it's better to have a sewer there for everybody. Everybody who's not on. Wishart is on the very right-hand bottom corner there. Wood Park is the pink square sort of area, yeah. The developer paid for the sewer to be put in. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so when that the sewer on Wood Park was built, that red line, it was built by the developer. They have to petition into the LAS. They can't. The people who are in the pink are already in, but the people in white, yeah, they have to petition in. Okay, there's got to be a petition process. Yeah, I don't know whether any of them are in that process or not, but every so often we get a few people who come to us and say, look, I want to hook up. And, you know, they hook up for different reasons. They go through the petition process. Sorry.
Yeah. So the developer did the red, and are they paying any taxes every year that are not hooked up to that red wood park, which the developer did intentionally for his development? He had all those white property squares.
They were paying taxes.
They were?
Theirs is now paid off. The taxes have been paid on that particular area for a lot of years, and they're now paid off.
So there was like a decided amount that each white property was supposed to pay over some time, or did they have to choice?
No. There's a what happens with the LASs is the city borrows the money to build the sewer, right? And then that has to be paid off by taxes from the people who were part of the LAS. Okay, and when it's paid off, it's paid off. Then there's no more taxes for that money, right? The city has a sewer fund, and there's a tight line around the sewer fund. No money from the sewer fund goes to the general fund, and no money from the general fund goes to the sewer fund. The only thing the general fund pays for is it pays for my time, Pat's time, and Sandra's time, and Nora's time to do this. Okay, that's coming out of the general fund. But for the construction, design construction of the sewers, that comes out of the sewer fund, and a particular part of the sewer fund for that particular local area service. And by reason of accident, the way things were built, everybody in the pink area and on that line that goes all the way down to Colwood Corners, and everybody within Colwood Corners, they were all part of LASs that have existed longer than any other LASs, and they're all paid off. So the commercial businesses paid taxes for 15 years, I believe. Theirs was a shorter borrowing time. Oh, thank you. You got to have the mic because then people out can't hear it.
Do you know offhand this green trunk line or going down Machosen Road, it's going to be in the middle of the road, the right side or the left side, or have they decided yet?
We've got the draft drawings sitting on the desk. I haven't looked at them yet. Somebody else is currently looking at them, so I don't know which side they're. But oh yeah, I know on Machosen Road actually they're on this side, and that's because the water line's on the other side and you can't put them together. Yeah, on Souk Road, the existing line was in the middle, so for most of it, it'll be in the middle also. It's in the fifth lane, which is a great place to be for most of the way because most of Souk Road, the fifth lane isn't actually used. Okay, so I'm going to try and get to the end of this, although I think we're getting through all the information anyway. Oh, we're at the end. I wasn't keeping track. So we're at any questions or suggestions. So kind of suggestion you might have is how we can, make sure we get in touch with everybody there. We do have the address of every homeowner. We've sent either hand delivered, or if any of them live in Guatemala, we've mailed it. Yes, the mic. We need the mic.
I just have a brief question. Was the timeline?
You got to say it into the mic if you got a
I just
question.
wanted to get an idea if you have a ballpark on the timeline from when you're going to start the work until hookups would be necessary.
Okay, so well, it certainly won't take more than 6 months to build that sewer. I mean, we're probably talking a couple of months max, because I usually go by how much it costs and how much a crew working for a contractor will spend in a month. and that looks like a. Pardon? I have to have this finished well before the end of the year. I want it finished before it rains in the fall. Okay. And then we're moving on to building a pump station in the central part of central LAS. Question over here.
Well, just a thought, if you're hand delivering letters,
Yes.
you knock on the doors and say, here's the petition, you need to sign it. I mean,
Well, we're not going to knock on the door and say, here's the petition, you need to sign it. Everybody makes their own decision, okay? Anybody can phone us and say, I want to sign the petition, and, you know, if it's somebody who's bedridden, we're going to come out and hand it to them. But, you know, we'll have that discussion with anybody who phones in and says they want to sign the petition. Main thing is to get the information to everybody, and we're starting early, so you have time to think about it, you know, time to look at the numbers and think about, you know, can you afford it? Do you want to afford it? What do you want to do? And talk to other people, discuss it amongst yourselves would be a great idea, and everybody's got different ideas on it. I think we have another question here. Oh, we just got to get the mic now.
Hi, so I know I asked you this already, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody heard it. I'd like to know whether or not, if you defer your taxes, that you can include the amount in
Yeah.
those deferred taxes.
And
Or
that's
you're going
it.
to have to pay them separate. And as it is a deciding factor,
Yeah.
I just want to ensure that we're going to have that information before we have to make the decision.
Absolutely. Yep. Anybody who wants that information, just let us know through the email. I'm going to put that up right now. Okay, so Nora's phone number is there because there's no point in phoning me. They'll tell you he's in a meeting. He'll get back to you. Better if Nora knows that you need an answer, and then she'll make sure that I get back to you ASAP. There's also an email address there, engineering@colwood.ca. Okay, that goes straight to Nora, and again, she'll make sure you get an answer. You can contact Nora and ask to set up a meeting with me if you like. I'm happy to meet with any of you anytime. And staff are willing to attend small meetings of the neighborhood. So if you're getting a bunch of people together in your house and you want somebody to come and explain why this is happening, I'm happy to do that anytime. You can also go to our website. So www.colwood.ca is our website, and you just go to /sewer services, and there'll be a video of this meeting if you want to review what questions were asked and what we said. So everything I'm telling you is being permanently recorded. So, okay, yeah, I just finished telling people, and there will be copies of the boards and copies of this presentation. And you can direct your friends and neighbors there. If you want to get advice from somebody, you can have them look at it and talk it over with them, somebody you trust. Yeah, signing in's a really good idea because then we can email you information. You'll get it faster, and as long as you check your email regularly.
I was just wondering, you had mentioned the possibility of development on Souk Road. I just wondered if you're aware of, if that is one of the driving factors, and if you're aware of some development that is imminent.
Well, you have to remember that certainly for me, as a municipal engineer, we're trying to think way down the road. Okay, there are no development proposals on your part of Souk Road right now. There are none on Machosen Road. There are some properties that have some potential, maybe, but mostly it's already broken up into pretty small parcels. So you're talking way down the road before anybody can afford to put those parcels together and actually create a viable development where there's small parcels. It's where you see a big property and you say, well, I know you could get more than 2 houses on there. That's what's likely to be bought and developed. Okay?
I'm curious about the hookup fee. Now you said that you're still playing with the numbers on that or whatever. Let's say, just hypothetically, we're all into the CLAS, but someone takes the option to hook up later, say 5 years from now or something. Is that cost going to be a lot more because you have to redig up the streets? Like, is it going to be cheaper to just go with the flow and hook up now while the streets are already torn up versus waiting later to a higher cost?
Yeah, and you've touched on one of the ways we're trying to work out a cheaper cost, which is right now in the bylaw, everybody gets charged a standard fee. Okay. However, if when we build the sewer line, we actually put in the connection, then it's obviously cheaper than if it's done later, because as you say, you got to dig up the road again. You got to put out all the traffic control again. You know, there's a whole bunch of work you got to do again. So that will definitely be a cheaper way to do it. We don't know what the price will be till we see the contractor's prices.
But essentially, there's a savings involved with just hooking up now while you're doing it.
But because there's a bylaw in place that says I have to charge everybody the same, I've got to talk to the lawyers and say, okay, does that bylaw mean that I can't put them in now? And you know, I mean, maybe we could work out something where you're not paying us, you're paying the contractor to put it in. So we've got to talk to the lawyer and see what we can do about that. We generally have only allowed developers to do that because they've got a contractor who's doing a lot of work, and they're doing it to standard and they know how to do that. But there is a portion in the bylaw that says if you put your own connection in, then you pay a lower fee, but you still pay a fee. Most people look at that and they say, that's not worth it. I'm not paying $1,800 and then doing the work as well. And if you think about it, this set fee is an attempt to put everybody on a level playing field. And if you're going to put it in yourself, we still take money towards that fund, because if you think about say we built the sewer very close to one property line, well, everybody on that side would be able to put it in cheaply, and they'd all get a bonus, and the people on the other side have a heck of a time. And I learned that lesson actually when in Langford, when I was working there, and we had to go and tell the local Navy cadets that it was going to cost them $27,000 for their connection, just because of where they were relative to the sewer line. And we realized that really wasn't something we wanted to have to tell people, so we introduced a flat fee there too. It saves a whole bunch of trouble proving to people how much it costs and everything. Flat fee, that's what it is. We just need to. Oh, you've got the mic right now?
Can I
Yeah.
just ask a quick question? I'm just wondering about the actual digging part, like to get in and out of the house when the road is all dug up and they've got going this way and that. How is that?
Well, for us, it's really simple. We say to the contractor, you can't block driveways. And inevitably there's some discussion about that. And if they do have to block your driveway because of digging across it, they'll usually, let you know ahead of time. And you might have to park your vehicle somewhere else if you're going out during the day. But they'll be laying the sewer during the day. There won't be any night work. It's too expensive. It would increase the cost of this. And it's also dangerous to the workmen. Yeah, we will do everything we can to keep your driveway accessible all the time. We cannot guarantee that it will be, but the contractor will be required to, deliver a notice, tell you what hours, that sort of thing. Okay? Usually they put a plate over the trench and allow you to get that way, so it's usually just while the machine's there. Who's got the mic now? Yes.
I live on the right on the corner of Suka Machosen Road, right? My road is that service road there.
Yeah.
And my septic is way at the back of my house.
Yeah.
So are you saying that the people that are paying for this, the costs are going to be kind of even, or am I paying a whole heck of a lot more?
Yeah, what we've evened out is the cost to get from the sewer line to your property line. What you do on your own property or what you have to do is up to you. And as I say, for some people it's really simple, and for some people
So
it really
meaning up to me, I can get my own excavator in there at my cost.
on your property, you get a
Do whatever
plumber
I want.
or your own excavator.
So you have no part of that.
No, all you have to do is have to get a plumbing permit, and the building inspector will come and inspect that the pipe is properly installed and the pipe's going to last, and that's all. But you can dig the trench by hand or whatever you like. If you got a large family of big guys, then when I first started my career, there were still teams of laborers doing trenches that way by shovel. I'm older than I look. Any more questions?
Yeah,
You need the mic.
I just had a quick
Okay,
one.
yep.
That $500, if it does go through the tax,
Yep.
How long does that go on for? Did you say 28 years or?
It's 28 years. Yeah.
28 years. Okay.
So the average person in the West Shore, believe it or not, I think it's something like 50% of houses are rotated every 5 years. I find that hard to believe myself, but that's the statistic. So 28 years on, it's mostly different people paying that tax. But yeah, for the time you occupy the house, yeah. Yeah. Well, you give me a good opportunity to correct the numbers that were in the Goldstream Gazette. Okay, yeah. Well, there was a particularly colorful graph that showed that we were in Colwood, we'd be paying $741, and in Langford they'd be paying $400. And Sandra can speak to that if she wants to, but she phoned the CRD and they said, no, that's the wrong number. The 741 for Colwood is the wrong number. They said it's 241. Right? Have I got that number right? 274. Quite frankly, I don't believe that number either. But logic says that if, knowing how many people are connected to the sewer and how many people are paying for it, if Langford's paying $400 and they're doing a sort of Clover Point McLaughlin solution, then we're paying roughly the same as well. Okay, that 400 is for the capital cost, and you'll be paying it for. I think they're calculating that over 25 years. There will be a maintenance cost for the sewage treatment plant as well, and that is not small. Yep.
Well, thank you very much. Did I understand you correctly that I can put my own line in as long as it's inspected by the plumbing inspector from Colin?
On your own property, yep.
Okay.
You can put your line in as long as it's inspected. You can't put your neighbor's line in. It has to be a plumber or the neighbor.
Say that again. Sir.
You can't go next door and build one for your neighbor.
Oh,
you can't go and do his. Yeah.
Could you go back to that map that has the blue on it again, please?
Yeah. Okay. Where'd the thing go? Here. Whoops, wrong way. Now I messed it up. There.
Okay, the LAS expansion area, and you've probably answered this. I just want to be sure of it. Okay, say there's a yes vote. Well, say they vote, no one goes out and votes no. They just assume it's a yes, and it passes, right? Okay, so the LAS passes, and one of those individuals that's in this blue area does not want to hook up. Is he going to pay any fee whatsoever at any time?
If the expansion goes ahead, you're all paying the tax. Nobody else pays anything unless they hook up.
Okay. So if Big Al here doesn't hook up, he pays nothing, even if it
Just
goes
the
through.
tax.
Oh, just
Still got to pay $500 per year, but you don't pay the $6,000 hookup fee because we're not installing it. You don't pay the $3,100 what's called a sewer enhancement fee because you're not connecting. And actually, in the same way that I said that there's a fee for CRD for maintaining sewers, there's also a fee for maintaining our sewers. That's about $275, $300. Yes. Nobody. No, all you're paying is what you pay now, which is money to the CRD.
and they
for
fire the
septic
engineer.
Field, etc.
No, seriously. So if the LAS is passed and an individual does not want to hook up to it, he is still going to be charged $500 a year.
Yes. So the question is, will you know the results of the petition before the sewer line goes in? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions?
So if we hook up, you're talking about that little part from the line to my property line, say 15 feet.
Yeah.
It said up there the city paid for that, but this is actually the homeowner's expense to hook up to the water meter area, the 9,000.
To go from your house to where your water meter
Yeah.
is roughly, that's your expense?
My expense, okay. And then on top of that, there's the other forecasted $3 to $5 grand to go under my house, around my house. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So one way or another, you end up paying all the costs, other than the main line, which you're paying for through tax.
But it's an upfront thing. It's not spread out, this fee.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I wish we could do that, but no, we can't.
Sounds like a lot. For 15 feet, like a $9 grand for, say, 10 feet.
Well,
I don't understand why.
As I say, it's a flat fee, which covers lots of situations. So, most sewer connections from Souk Road are not 15 feet; they're a lot more than that. Because the sewer there's in the middle, and you got to go under 2.5 lanes of traffic, and possibly the sidewalk or whatever it's there, and you got to deal with traffic, and it's hugely expensive. The big pink blob at the top there is Hatley Park Mall. When they installed, they lengthened the sewer at their own expense, basically, and they were paying $1,200 per meter. So every 3 feet was $1,200 to install that with their own contractor.
And finally, is there any time where these hookups have to go under a house for any reason, or they usually go beside and then to the outfall of wherever my little septic tank is? Has there ever been any hookups that have to go under the house for any reason?
I don't think the building inspector is ever going to let you put it under the house.
That's what I was curious
Yeah,
about too.
yeah. No, because then if it leaks, you can't fix it.
Right.
Yeah. Did you have a question there? No? Okay. Yeah. Everybody who is in a fee simple dwelling, so half of a duplex, is, well, not fee simple dwelling, but if you own your own dwelling, you've got to have your own connection to the main line. Now you can lay the two lines in the same trench to reduce the cost, one for you and one for your neighbor. That's particularly easy if it's a duplex, because you've usually got common property, and you can lay it in the common property. If you're just sharing with the neighbor that you're not in a strata with, as you are in a duplex, you can still share a trench, but you've got to have a right-of-way over that other property. But it's got to be two separate pipes. Yeah. And it's kind of rare that anybody would be in a position to take advantage of that common trench idea. Who's got the mic right now? Oh, okay.
Are you aware of the monthly charges for the, water in, water out?
For water or for sewage?
Both. Well, so for sewage,
Yeah.
because I know that that's how the township of Sydney does it.
Yeah, we charge sewer maintenance fee, which is based on your water flow in the winter, so it doesn't include your irrigation. But it's calculated on, so if you're using twice as much water in November, December, January as your neighbor, your sewer user fee is going to be twice as much. Okay?
And so how much is the sewer user fee?
It averages out somewhere around $275 to $300 for the most, for the average house. Per year. Per year, yeah. If it was per month, yeah, nobody would be hooking up, yeah. When you hook up, that disappears. Yeah. Yeah. Plus, yeah, I mean, but you don't have the expense of emptying your tank. I don't know how often you have to do it. I don't want anybody to tell me how often they do it. You don't have that expense, and you don't have the expense that some people face when the field fails. That can get really expensive. We had a question back there.
I have an upper and lower duplex.
Yeah.
Would I be able to just hook into one line? Like I've got two septics
That's
right now. They're side by side.
if you're an upper and lower duplex, they must be owned by one person, right?
Yeah, I own the whole.
You own both. Then you can have one line. Yeah. Because you're responsible for what goes into that line because you own them both. Yeah. Any other questions, suggestions? Anybody want to sing a song? Or?
I will.
Yeah.
My name's Pat. There's been some discussion about the process that the city is undertaking for this whole council initiative. And the city really is limited in their options on how to do an enlargement of a local service area or a local area service. And that is either the people come to us, they've completed a petition, the majority of owners have signed it, owning at least 50% of the value of the land and the improvements on that land. And if they've achieved that, then we add them into that local area service and they start paying their fair share of the entire cost for whatever period of time is left on that debt. In this particular case, and part of that agreement that Mr. Baxter alluded to earlier about the city said that they would undertake a council initiative. It's the central area that you saw in gray on the bigger maps. You can see a little portion of it here. That's already an established local area service. So what's happening now is they're ready to move forward with building the sewer line and bringing it into that local area. And so the council initiative is, okay, well, the line is coming through in the green. All those blue homes that are being identified are being offered an opportunity to say, hey, we'd like to be a part of what you're building to bring it to that existing service. So we're reaching out to those homes that are identified in blue to say, here's your opportunity. We're required by legislation. So again, there's only two ways to do it, and this is the way that we're doing it. We're reaching out to you to saying, this is the plan, this is the cost, this is the service that we're providing for you. This is how many years you'll have to pay for. And we're trying to address all that stuff. We're required to meet requirements, which is around April 25th. We'll be sending out formal letters to everybody explaining all of that, what we're doing, what it'll cost, how many years, what your estimated parcel tax would be. The second part is that we have to do 2 newspaper advertisements. So they have to be 2 consecutive weeks. So it'll be either a Wednesday, or Friday. The 30 days that you have to counter petition against this initiative to include everybody starts after the second advertisement. So it's not the first advertisement, you only have 30 days. It's a week later, the second ad comes out, you have 30 days from that one. In that 30-day period, you can call the city, talk to engineering, ask all kinds of questions, figure out these details. Hopefully they'll have more of those figures and calculations that they've been talking about tonight. Is there a way to save money, make it cheaper, all those things that Michael covered tonight. But I thought it was really important to understand this is not Colwood's decision on how to do it. There's two ways. You come to us, we go to you. Because this one's ready to expand, and there's an opportunity for certain people to become a part of that as the sewer comes through. We're reaching out to those people to say, are you interested in becoming a part of that? It's not a ballot. You're going to get an official letter from the city. You're also going to get a copy of the petition against the initiative. So if you're not supportive of it, if there's 3 people on title, 2 of you need to sign that. You have to have a majority. So, or all 3 of you. If only 1 of 3 people who own that property sign, it's not a vote against it because you don't have a majority. So, we have to do land title searches. We have to pull all that information up, make sure we know everybody who owns that piece of land and their entitlement in value, because the land and improvement values are also very significant in the whole sufficiency testing. So you'll get your letter, you'll get a counter petition against the initiative. If you don't support it, you sign it, you make sure the majority of you sign it, date it, etc., and make sure you get it back to us within that 30 days. Well, it's a petition, correct. Well, that's right, because we're giving them to you individually, and then you can send them in to us individually.
Would there ever be a publicized list of all the houses that are involved in this in the LAS, or will we all know?
They create a parcel tax, what do you call it, parcel tax roll, and that roll is available, absolutely. It's
Okay, how will
information.
that vote be?
It's still being built, I understand.
Yeah, that parcel tax roll would be created, I think it's in October. I think that's when it's finished.
Yeah, but
plan.
I want to know before so that if I don't know my neighbors, and I don't know everybody that's in.
So you're looking for the list of all the names?
The people that may be involved. Is there a possibility of us knowing who else is? Like, I'm sure nobody knows me.
As far as I know, and Pat's the expert, under Freedom of Information legislation, we can't give you people's names. And we can't give you their phone numbers if we know them, because when we collect your phone number, we're not collecting it to give it to people. We're collecting it only to phone you.
Yeah, I understand that.
So what? But if we go back to the blue map, it's every property that has some property line on Machosen or Souk over those distances. We're not currently planning to go into the cul-de-sacs, but we're exploring what effect that has on the overall cost, and whether it might help everybody to do that. Yes, this map will be on the website if it's not already, and if you can't print it, come to us and Nora will give you a copy. Okay. And Google's really good, yeah.
So I'm the information and privacy coordinator as well. So Michael is saying the address on a piece of land is not personal information. That's why we could say this house, this house, this house. But if people were to be saying to us, oh, what's their name, what's their address, or if they live somewhere else, can we have that mailing address? We can't give you that, and that's legislation that restricts us from doing that. So, and just to sort of wrap up what I was saying, if it turns out the majority of people owning the majority of land and improvement values opposes the council initiative, then none of the blue stuff happens. Nobody in the white areas, because now those properties would be white colored. And then the gray area that's already the existing central local area service just carries on. But every part, pardon? Well, currently they are the ones responsible for what's going to be built in the central local area service, right? The gray area. This is an enlargement of.
Yes. And yeah, the answer was yes. And that's it will be charged to the central local area service, whoever's in that service. And that actually changes constantly because we've had more people join. So that's never a static number of people. There was a subdivision created in that local area service a couple of years ago. Well, the cost of building this sewer is not actually going to increase the total cost of the project, because there's a cap on this project. And I talked to you about building a pump station, and the reason there's a cap, by the way, is because you have to have a borrowing bylaw to borrow money to do this, and everybody in the area has to agree to that. One of the pieces of information you'll get is how much that borrowing is. That doesn't really tell you much. You want to know how much you'll pay, but you'll get that as part of the legal requirement anyway. And so that total amount has to pay for everything. Building this sewer means there's a bit less to build the pump station, but we just, because there's not many people flushing in this area right now, it means the pump station goes in with some small pumps, because that's all we need right now. Eventually it'll have pumps that'll probably cost in the region of $150,000 a piece just to buy them. But the initial pumps will be quite a lot smaller than that, and that reduces the price. Excuse me. Okay. Any other questions? Did you have any more, Pat? No. And if you think of anything later, you got the contacts there, and you can always see this again on the website, okay? And you'll probably wake up in the middle of the night. I wish I'd asked that question. Just phone us, email us, all right? Okay, thank you very much.